What's going on, guys? It's New York Prepper here, and I wanted to do a video today about Marauders in the Prepping 101 series. So if you're new to prepping, you may have heard the word Marauders before. You may have seen it on prepper forums, survival forums, or on YouTube, and you may want to know what a Marauder is and coming from a seasoned prepper's perspective, what a marauder actually means. So I kind of want to dive into that a little bit. And also for all you seasoned preppers out there like myself who've been doing this for a while, this may be a good refresher course for you, to kind of jog your memory. And maybe I'll mention something that you haven't thought of. So what are marauders? Marauders are they can be any type of gang or group of bad guys, individuals that, decide to go around door to door and, rape and pillage, basically is what it is. They're the equivalent of, post SHTF Vikings. So after an SHTF situation, which could be a power outage, natural disaster, terrorist attack, nuclear war, biological pandemic, any of those things is what most people would consider an SHTF. In that environment, there's going to be bad people that come together and form groups, just like there's going to be preppers who come together and form groups, and there's going to be survivalists who come together and form groups to protect themselves and protect each other and feed each other, give each other shelter and look out for each other. And so on the same flip side of the same coin, you're going to have bad guys who will get together and form groups. And rather than producing their own food and stuff like that, because most of them didn't prepare, they're naturally criminal people. So they're used to just stealing from others and harming other people. So that's what they're going to do when the power goes out and when there's a major disaster. And that's what would be considered a marauder. And these groups of bad guys, they could be different types of bad guys. They're generally different categories, but you may have organized gangs who were already a gang before SHTF. So for example would be like organized crime, your Russian mafias, Italian mafias, Japanese mafia, whatever, biker gangs. They could potentially turn into marauders after SHTF because they're going to need supplies, they're going to need food, they're going to need weapons and ammunition. And aside from what they need, their physical needs, they may have some type of desires or fantasies that they want to fulfill now that they know that there's no rule of law. And the rule of law has collapsed. There's limited police presence. So they may have, in addition to going out and trying to steal people's supplies, their guns, their ammo for their own physical needs, they're also going to potentially act on some fantasies that they have. And these fantasies could be anything from cannibalism, rape, murder, revenge, ethnic cleansing, looting expensive items that they want, things like that. So that's just a short list. But so in addition to these marauders going out and trying to obtain physical resources for themselves to live, they're also going to be trying to act out on certain fantasies they've always had that they could never do because there was law enforcement presence and there was, there was rule of law. And once the rule of law subsides, these big gangs of marauders, they're going to get together and they're going to basically go door to door, or they may not go door to door, but they're going to try to go after people, normal, everyday people that are trying to survive the situation. They could either be preppers or non-preppers, and they're especially going to target non-preppers because non-preppers are not going to be aware of the threat that there's going to be such a thing as marauders, and most non-preppers are not gun owners. They're not into self-preparedness and self-defense mindset. Most non-preppers don't believe in taking care of your own defense. They prefer to just call 911, and so most of those people are going to be in trouble when the grid goes down. They're going to be easy prey for these marauders because they're not going to have any kind of weapons to defend their families against the marauders, and they're not going to have spent any time training to protect themselves either with firearms or with their bare hands. So I think that these marauders are going to try to go after the non-preppers first because that's going to be the low-hanging fruit. But I also think marauders will also target preppers, especially the marauders that may have military experience, who may be well armed, or may have large numbers. They're going to feel a little more confident to go after, a prepper group or a survival group, because they're going to be well armed. They're going to have weapons that they may have stole from other preppers. They may have through their raping and pillaging activities and their marauding, activities. They may have acquired weapons and ammunition. So this way, they can use those weapons to further expand their marauding activities and take on bigger targets. And those bigger targets would be, well-established preppers, well-established prepper groups who are armed. There may even be situations where the marauders will go to war with survival groups and preppers. And, if we look at it from a fictional standpoint, if you guys ever watched The Walking Dead, a very popular show about zombie apocalypse, and the protagonist in the show, his name is Rick Grimes, and he was a police officer before the zombie apocalypse happened, and he gets together with some strangers that he meets, and they form a survival group, and they stay together. And as they're surviving in this post-apocalyptic world, they run into, in addition to zombies that they have to deal with, people, and they run into these marauder groups that are oftentimes very large, have a lot of resources that they acquired over the years, over the months of, stealing, pillaging, and, they have large amounts of territory. And these marauders oftentimes would go to war with the protagonist in the show and try to kill their group or, take their supplies, whatever. So I think that's a possibility, in my opinion, is that marauders may go to war with preppers and survival groups for whatever reason. They may be after your resources, or they may try to act out some fantasies that they have. So you can't really be sure what the motivations are when you deal with marauders. They could be coming after your resources. They could be coming after you personally. They may have revenge. They may want to commit revenge against you because of your race, because of your economic status, because of your religion, because of where you live. It could be a variety of reasons. They could be cannibals. They may be coming after you for meat. They want to eat you. They may be psychos and may have some kind of sick fantasies of, murder or, torture, whatever, raping. They may also have a variety of different intentions. So the most important thing is you need to worry about how you're going to defend yourself against a large group of these marauders. And because they may be armed, and most likely they will be armed. They're going to be at least, let's say, 10 or 20 guys is what you would consider a marauder group. It's a large group of people, well armed, and the way that the marauders would most likely act is that they would basically perform raids on non-preppers and preppers. They would surround your home and just, use overwhelming firepower to get you to surrender and give up your house, give up all your supplies, give up your food, your fuel. And then while they're at it, they may, kill and rape your family. So you don't want to be in that kind of position. So the best defense against that is, number one, arm yourself, and arm everyone in your family who's capable and mature enough to handle and shoot a firearm. Make sure that they have some training, either if you train them yourself or go to a training course with them. Either one is acceptable. Make sure that everyone in your family is armed and knows how to use a weapon, as long as they're capable of it. And then you also want to make sure that you get together with your neighbors before SHTF and form a group. Try to make sure that you keep good relations with your neighbors, and make friends with your neighbors, and talk about what you would do in an SHTF situation to help defend your community and your neighborhood from these marauder groups, which are sure to come and try to take over once the grid goes down. And if you have people in your neighborhood that are also preppers or gun owners, it's a really smart idea to get together with them and discuss this topic about neighborhood watch and neighborhood security after an SHTF situation. And it's not crazy, it's a smart idea. And we've seen in the past, after Hurricane Katrina and different natural disasters, that looters would come and try to steal supplies and things like that, and people banded together and created their own security force to protect their neighborhoods. And this is likely your best defense against a marauder group, at least initially in SHTF. When these marauder groups are still fairly small, they may be up to like 50 people, between 5 to 50 people. That's where having, a neighborhood community of well-armed people can fend off an attack from marauders. But as SHTF progresses, and if rule of law does not get reinstated, some of these marauder groups may get really big and really powerful, and they may actually grow to a huge size to the point where they have their own territory. They may have their own kind of area that they marked out for themselves, and they may try to invade your neighborhood and take possession of all the houses there, so they can expand the territory and also impose their will on you. Maybe put you into slave labor for them, so that way you can produce things for them. They may even create slave labor camps, or just force you to work for them. So these are all things to consider. And so basically, what are marauders? So marauders are just a large group of bad guys that are going to band together after SHTF and try to go after your resources and act out any kind of fantasies they have, any kind of psychotic fantasies, or if they're cannibals, there may even be cannibal groups of cannibals, that come after people and try to kill them and eat them. That's not beyond the realm of possibility, as in rule of law now there are cannibal tribes that live in New Guinea and in the Amazon and different remote parts of the world who will actually hunt other people. So it's not beyond the realm of possibility that there will be some cannibal marauders as well. So that's something to consider, in addition to your basic marauders who will be coming after your food and trying to rape and pillage. So that's pretty much it. I hope you guys learned something about marauders in this Prepping 101 video. And if you're already a seasoned prepper, I hope that I kind of made you think about something that you didn't think of before. So take care, guys. Thanks for watching, and God bless.